Chris started coming off the back of a big win against Bournemouth last week and 4 unbeaten. Christmas Day, of course, tomorrow. I'd assume spirits are pretty high around the club at the minute.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and rightly so. You know, we're playing okay to well. It was a big performance and a big result, one that everybody enjoyed. Doesn't mean anything if you don't turn up on Boxing Day. So, message to the players, you know, let's back it up with another positive performance, and hopefully we can get the right result and send everybody home happy.
Well, we'll get on to Boxing Day shortly, but since last Saturday, a lot has changed surrounding football with COVID causing problems once again. How is Boro doing on that front? Have you got through the week unscathed?
Fingers crossed, as I know so far. Yeah, we've got a couple of players that have obviously had COVID and have seen that through. So Lee Peltier is back with us, and Marcus Brown, obviously he's not back in contention, but he was the other player that had it. So you know, obviously he's still continuing his rehab. So yeah, daily tests this morning. So the staff are always in early, aren't they? So we'll come through it. So and fingers crossed when the players get tested, we'll have some good news on that front. But I think a lot of the managers have said, you know, you're really in sort of a situation of, you know, you obviously don't know until they come through that lateral flow test, and fingers crossed they all will, because obviously if they don't, yeah, and obviously that affects everything. Yeah,
let's hope they do come out of that okay. But the Football League obviously said that festive games can go ahead, and I know you've said in the past that you're happy with that. So I suppose that's a decision that you're still happy with.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's business as usual for myself and everybody at the football club. You know, we're looking forward to, you know, traditional Boxing Day game. Great that we're at home, and a big crowd. You know, I should imagine a sellout from the opposition, and always bumper crowd on Boxing Day. And something that we're really looking forward to. So we're just head down and preparing for everything. Obviously, there's been games called off, so we want to play, and we certainly want to play in front of punters. That is something that obviously I've experienced and didn't enjoy any bit of that at all. For me, the game is obviously the major stakeholders in it are the supporters and the players, and you know, for to be playing in empty stadiums, as I said, I experienced it. It was a completely different game, and I think still there should be an asterisk next to that season, because it wasn't real for me, and you know, having supporters back in and keeping them in is huge for the game.
So on to matters on the pitch, of course, and Nottingham Forest on Boxing Day. Are you expecting another tough game from them?
Well, yeah. I mean, in every championship game, there's a challenge in front of you, isn't there? Regardless of what position the club are in, the size of the club, the stature of the club. But you know, we're definitely expecting an incredibly tough task in front of us because of the run that they're on, the size of the club, the players that they've got in their squad, and another, you know, team that we're up against that wants to go well this season. You know, last three, Stoke away, obviously, you know, we talked about that. Bournemouth, you know, in terms of what they're doing this season, recently relegated football club, and a football club that's got huge tradition and in history, and one that will be expecting to push towards the top of the division and get out of it, you know, sooner than later. And obviously the results since Steve's gone in have been exceptional. So a team banging form.
Now, Jed Spence, of course, he won't be in action on the 26th, but he's a player who's enjoyed a successful spell at Forest. Have you got a decision to make on him? I mean, would you be interested in bringing him back sooner than actually expected?
Yeah, I talked about it last week. As far as I'm concerned, that what if you look back at what I said last week, nothing's changed in a week.
You said that Mark Bowler was out with a knock last week. How's he doing? How's the rest of the squad doing on injuries?
Yeah, we had some disappointing news on Mark. He's going to be out for quite a while, and so it's no good me sort of trying to spin anything and create a situation. Mark's suffered an injury in training. It's really disappointing for the boy and disappointing for us. These things happen. Contact sport. We talk about training in a fashion that and at a tempo and intensity that prepares us for match days. And unfortunately, it was a coming together between two players. And a really unfortunate injury to Mark, a knee injury that possibly will keep him out for possibly sort of 6 to 8 weeks. So that's a really disappointing one for us. So we lose Mark over the Christmas period into the new year, and we have to deal with that as we talked about. These are part and parcel of being a football manager. Injuries, illnesses, loss of form, suspensions. We have to adjust, adapt, improvise at times, change things around a little bit, and everybody has them. And unfortunate for us that we've suffered that with Mark, and unfortunate for the boy.
Yeah, but thankfully you've got Neil Taylor in there. But does that mean that you need to change your mind in January? Do you need to bring someone in as cover for Neil Taylor?
Well, not really, because obviously, we're expecting Mark to be sort of back, mid February. So it's no good sort of, using one of those spots up. We're working hard on targets. As I said, there's not going to be a wrecking ball to the group, and it can't be. And everybody talks about how difficult the January transfer window is. So we're exploring every opportunity in terms of the real positions that we need to cover and improve on. So we're just going to have to fight our way through that little period in that position. But there's some good options there. Some players can play there as well. So we have got a little bit of flexibility in that position.
And I suppose the African Cup of Nations won't be helping things as well. That's set to go ahead in January, and James Lee Saliki's been selected for Cameroon. So does that mean you need to look to replace him, or will it grant more opportunities to the likes of Joe Gibson, who got a place on the bench last week?
No, I mean, as I said, that it was pre-me that signing. So regarding the club knew the situation and the potential situation in January. It's not ideal for myself to lose another player. Obviously, how deep they go in the competition will determine how long he's away. Again, as I said, it was a situation that I have to deal with, and we'll deal with that. But as I said, we've got to be flexible. We talk about a couple of players that can play numerous positions as well, and there's a couple of young boys that might have to be drafted in. And so obviously Joe's been part of the squad for the last 2 games, and he has to expect to be part of that, and he'll do that.
What's the schedule going to be like over Christmas for Boro? Do you get the players in on Christmas morning for a light session, or are you giving them the day off?
I'm going to ask you a question. What do you reckon? You knowing me, what do you think? Go on.
Go. I reckon.
I'm kind, by the way. I'm really
kind. Okay, that's fine. Go on, then they're off.
Sensitive.
You let them off.
In you come.
Brilliant.
No, they work. They understand that. They're working. It's something we talked about. Sacrifices as well at this time of year. To make sure we're right for Boxing Day and obviously the Blackpool game and the Sheffield United game on New Year's Day. So we'll be working right the way through that period, and it's as I say, it's part and parcel of being involved in the game, and one that everybody understands and accepts.
And just finally from me, Chris, Sean Dyche was asked in his presser yesterday about what his favourite Christmas film was. And he said Miracle on 34th Street. So just out of genuine curiosity, What's your go-to? What's go-to in the Wilder household?
I've not watched the film for about 20 years. Sky Sports News will be on again. That's what's on. That button on that remote control, you just have a little look. 4-0. I'm giving him a bit of a plug here. Giving my mate down the bottom a bit of a plug here. Sky Sports News, because I like to see my old mate down the bottom there, Mike, seeing his pretty face on it. So, no, I ain't got a Christmas film.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris. Hope you have a good Christmas.
Matt McAdams guy.
Mike.
I don't know how to follow that, Chris. Very kind words.
Right, it's a loving, isn't it, mate? We know that.
I think you've had too many Christmas sherries.
I'm not sure about that. I ain't had enough.
To be honest, Chris, so many questions have been asked you there. You've answered so many eloquently as always. I'll start with one. There's been meeting in the Premier League. Premier League players have raised their concerns about fixture congestion, level of games. Managers are unhappy with it as well. You've managed in the Premier League. You're in the Championship now, which has even more demands on the players because of the volume of games that you have to play, more so than Premier League players. What do you make to the situation at the moment?
I just obviously thinking because of the COVID situation that we're all in the pandemic. Obviously, that feelings are heightened a touch with that, and understandably so because of players missing through infection and illness. So that makes it difficult for me. As you'll possibly understand, I'm a traditionalist, and the games come thick and fast for players and football clubs. So, I think that, a couple of the managers in the Premier League have just talked about an extra day, which maybe you could adjust, and it doesn't really hurt anybody from that point of view. But it's the balance, Mac, as we all know, when we have worked in the Premier League, that to get in there and the rewards that it does give you, you obviously sometimes in the power of the broadcasters, because they want to see games every day. So the scheduling, obviously, is the key thing there. But to take away games in that period for me is something I wouldn't want to see. But maybe, as a couple of the managers have said, maybe just a tweak here or there. And from that point of view, might be the answer. But we're cracking on. We've obviously got a busy Christmas period, Blackpool away, and then obviously game on New Year's Day. And we understand it. It's a Grand National, isn't it? It's not a sprint. You have to come through this period, and it tests out everybody, doesn't it? And this is what I'm saying about managers. You have to be flexible. You have to be ready for changes. You have to be ready for illness, injury. But I think everything's just been ironed, Mark, because of the pandemic that we're going through, and maybe that's from their point of view. But I think scrapping, or scrapping competitions or cutting down on fixtures is we all know the rules. We all know what it all entails, and we're all happy to sign up for it. So we have to get through it and get on with it. And
finally, Chris, for me, you've been at Middlesbrough now for 6 games. 50% of those have been victories. You look like you're enjoying this. You look like you've got your mojo back on the side of the pitch and on the training ground. Are you really enjoying the battle at the moment and the challenges that you've got ahead of you?
Yeah, it's something that I've obviously been involved in for a long time, and to take that away for a period was difficult for myself personally. I should imagine all the boys that weren't working at that particular time. So yeah, we're back at a great club that we're really enjoying working for, and yeah, it's the competitive aspects, setting your team up, doing the prep, and in an incredibly tough division, and a really great division to be working in. I've got a lot of respect for everybody in the division. Some great operators in there, some fabulous teams, and some really good players. So we're coming up against one of those teams on Boxing Day, but. We're there, we're working away, and back doing what we've done for the last 20 years, Mac. And yeah, definitely smile on my face and enjoying it.
Fantastic. I'm working Christmas Day as well, mate. So,
top, mate. Look after yourself.
Top man.
Cheers, mate.
Nisha from the BBC, please.
Hey, Nish.
Hi, Chris. Nice to meet you,
and you.
virtually. With it being the world being the way it is, and It's not all doom and gloom, but people are worried about COVID and everything. Does that make a home Boxing Day match that little bit more important when you can give the fans in Middlesbrough just that bit extra festive cheer?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked long and hard about how much the football club means to the area, and the support that we get is incredible in difficult times, financially, and obviously going through the pandemic. Yeah, but you know, this is a club that's a heartbeat of the area, and we have to do our part and get ourselves out there and be available to our supporters. And Christmas is, as I said, it's a tough period for us in terms of the amount of games, but we just get through it. And to have an home game on Boxing Day is fabulous. Really looking forward to it. And I know it's, you know, we're going to have a bumper crowd, and it's something that, you know, everybody looks forward to as a supporter of a football club, your local football club. You look through the fixtures. First thing you look at is possibly who have we got first game of the season, what's the fixture list like at the Christmas period, and what's happening at the end of the season. So, you know, everybody's looking towards that game, and it's a cracker of a game. You know, two teams that are going well. Obviously, Forest have been on a fabulous run, and above us in the league, and it's an opportunity for us to go and put in a good performance against a competitor that's in and around us.
You talked just before about how much you're enjoying being at Middlesbrough, being back in football management. And with Boro, you know, those playoff spots in sight, you must be pleased with what you've achieved so far.
Yeah, we can be satisfied of our work so far, but, you know, it's, as we talked about there, it's 6 games. So, you know, we're left with half a season now to go at. So, you know, a huge part of the season still left and a lot of football to be played. So, yeah, there's going to be some bumps in the road, but we're in a good place at the moment, and it's up, you know, it's my responsibility, my job, and the job of the staff to keep us in that place, and most importantly the players. So, of course, you know, everybody talks about January, but we've got a decent group, but hopefully they can. A few be added to in January just to help the group out, because there's a lot of strong squads out there, and a lot of strength in depth. And as I said, you know, the Grand National, you need to be durable, you need to be healthy through that, and you've got to, you know, be able to cover different situations that come up, and hopefully if we have a healthy squad going into the new year, then we can continue this form and see where that takes us.
We've talked a lot about COVID. It's impossible not to, but you could never have imagined being a football manager during a global pandemic. Is there a lot of extra weight to carry, you know, in the morning, waiting for those results from everyone, including yourself? What's it like on a day-to-day managing in amongst this?
I think, you know, not just for myself, but everybody, you know, the whole population, there's a load of uncertainty out there and nobody really knows. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of noise and nonsense. And so sometimes you don't know who to turn to, what to read, who's telling you the truth, who's not telling you the truth, where's this all going? You know, we're all just trying to get back on to normal living, normal day-to-day living. Of course, in football, there's, you know, a lot of uncertainty because, as I've just said, certainly for me, you know, we have a responsibility to get out there and play. I totally understand that. And I feel we're safe enough to do that with the measures that we're taking at the football club and what we're doing to do that. And obviously from the outside population as well. I'm not a scientist, but I want things to go back to normal. And for me, normal is crowds, normal is full houses, normal is Boxing Day with supporters, the lead up to the game, driving in the car park, young kids there wanting autographs, telling you should pick, who you shouldn't pick, sort yourself out or keep going, you're doing all right. And then the buzz of match day, you know, I've experienced it, and it's just a different game. It's a different sport and a different game without supporters. So for me, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, but hopefully, you know, we can see sense and we can keep things on track and come through this period. And fingers crossed, we all can do that.
Thanks very much, Chris. Merry Christmas.
And you, nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Chris from Time Tees, please.
Happy new Christmas jumper, Chris.
Oh, I know. Honestly, it's not a new one. Sorry?
You the only one wearing it?
No, there's a couple in the office today. I've got them on. Mine's a Only Fools and Horses one. It says, "Have a lovely, jubbly Christmas" on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. Apologies for that. Just in terms of managing on Boxing Day, I mean, do you allow yourself a few hours on Christmas Day to sort of switch off and enjoy the festivities?
You obviously don't know what it's like to be a football manager.
No, I don't. So tell me.
Sorry, Chris. No, you never switch off. It's always there. So, yeah, I mean, we'll spend Christmas Day in the morning with the players and in the afternoon with the family, having a bite to eat together. But you really can't switch off. It's always with you. I think if you ask any manager, so it's always there, or if it isn't, it's not far away. So yeah, we'll have a couple of hours on in the afternoon with family, and hopefully have a nice time, not getting calls from physios about positive tests and stuff like that. But fingers crossed we come through that period. But yeah, it's with you all the time, and something that you have to accept. And I've got a great family, so they understand and accept how it is for me as a person.
And are they coming up to enjoy their first Christmas in the Boro with you?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're coming up. So yeah, we're all sorted and looking forward to, as I said, Christmas Day with them, and then Boxing Day with my other family.
Absolutely, yeah. Just in terms of Nottingham Forest, you know, when you look at the league table, they are going to be one of those teams because of the job that Steve Cooper has done in sort of turning their fortunes round. They're probably going to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season in terms of the playoffs. So how crucial is it that you do get a victory on Boxing Day?
Well, you know, we're after that. They'll be after a win, and we will. Listen, it gives either side, if they get a positive result, a big boost, because that's what we're looking forward to doing, and that's what we need to do to keep moving it forward. And Forest will want to keep their unbeaten run going, and we will want to keep our little run going as well to breed confidence and optimism that we can compete at the top end of the division. He's not going to define it though. You know, it's not game, set, and match if we don't get a result that we're after. But certainly it's a tough encounter, tough opposition. You're right. They're on a great run. You know, as I said, he's still. And then you look at it and you go, he's still, 23 games to play. So still half a season to go. And, you know, the wheels can fall off for some teams, and some teams can come with an incredible run. So, you know, this league for me, in terms of, you know, the top six is incredibly wide open. You know, you've seen from our position, you win a couple of games, and most importantly, where that takes you. And you've seen it from Forest's position. When Steve got the job, bottom 2, 3, and then all of a sudden, you know, the 7th or 8th now. So if you're going to be successful in the second part of the season, put a run together. You need to put a run together. You need to be consistent, and you'll get your rewards if you're that.
And I suppose there's no better way for Middlesbrough to do that than at home on Boxing Day, bumper crowd against a big team. It should be a cracking game.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. You know, they're a team that, as I said, have got some great results. They've had some really good results on the road. Really dangerous team at the top of the pitch. You know, some real good players all over. And you know, I think that everybody understands it, the position that they were in was a false one at the start. But this is what happens if you don't get out of the traps in the Championship. These things can happen, and they did. A change. And some fresh ideas, and most importantly, players playing to the top of their ability, because they've got some really good players. You know, some really good players that would get in. You know, majority of teams in the division. So getting a tune out of them, like we've tried to get a tune out of our boys. So yeah, great game to look forward to. Two teams that are going all out for a win, and as I said, hopefully we get the result that we're all after.
Chris, thank you very much for your time. Have a great day tomorrow.
And you, Chris, all the best.
I hope you get to wear your own Christmas jumper tomorrow.
Top man, will do.
Yes.
Okay, Tro.
Don from the Gazette.
Hey, Don.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Merry Christmas. Chris, you talked about Mark Bowler's injury, which is obviously unfortunate and bad news. Does that make an extension for Neil Taylor all the more likely?
Yeah, we're in conversation with Neil as we speak. I think you interviewed Neil and spoke to him. So the professional that he is, wants to get the games out of the way before they sit down. But that's I actually imagine there'll be no issues with that, and Neil will be with us to the end of the season.
You say there the professional he is. You must have been delighted with how he's taken to the group. His first performance, and he's done well. Has he just slotted in very comfortably? Has he?
Yeah, I mean, he's not been given his career. He's had to work extremely hard for it. If you look to see where he started out at Wrexham in the conference, and obviously got his move to Swansea, and been outstanding for them. Played obviously for his country, and you have to tick a lot of boxes if you're going to have the career that Neil's had from where he's come from. So there was never any doubt in terms of what his attitude would be like, and he was patient. Possibly it took him a little bit longer than he wanted to take, but these things happen, and he's found an home, and we're delighted that he's a Middlesbrough player, and he brings a lot of attributes on and off the pitch to the group.
Sorry, you've been asked about Jed. Obviously, I won't ask you about Jed again. But on the other side, Hayden Coulson, who's a left-sider, has been at Ipswich. But I think he's been injured, and I don't know what his situation is there. Would there be any chance of bringing him back, or is he better off out and playing regularly?
Yeah, we've not, as I said, what I talked about last week regarding the players out. We're in constant dialogue with those and the clubs and watching. We've got a loans manager that goes and watches them. Unfortunately for Aidan at the moment, he's out injured and possibly not back for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So,
right.
Yeah, in time, decisions will be made, as always, for the benefit of the football club.
And just on injuries, obviously playing Nottingham Forest, Sammy Amiobi was at Forest before he joined Boro. Is he anywhere near, or is he still some way off?
No, it's a long-term injury, so he's not been part of the group since I've been here, and we're not expecting an early return for Sam.
Right. Do you not think we'll see him this season then? Is he looking at a full season job, do you think?
Well, he's working extremely hard with the physios, but, if you're talking, you're going to see him in the next, week or month or 2 months, then I'm not so sure how that sort of materialises, how he progresses with his long-term injury. With long-term injuries, there's obviously always, he needs to train for a length of period to get himself right as well, and under 23 games and bounce games and whatever to get him back up to speed to play in our first team. It's not just a matter of just him being out for 6 months, 7 months, 5, 6, 7 months, and all of a sudden, turning up first day training and being available. Same with Marcus Brown and obviously, Darnell Fisher as well. These boys are long-term injuries, and some will come back quicker than the others, but from Sammy's point of view, I'm not expecting him back, until February, March time. And
you were asked about James Lear-Saliki earlier. Obviously, he's going away in January. What have you made of him so far? What's he been like day to day? Because obviously we haven't seen a lot of him before you came. He didn't feature a lot, so fans haven't seen a lot of him yet. What have you made of him so far?
Well, yeah, he's obviously, his CV is a strong CV. Plays for his country. Played in League One in France. But for me, the midfield area has been a real positive for us in terms of the energy, the work ethic, and the play between the three of them. So it's difficult for Martin to get in, to force his way in, and obviously James is the same. So I'm not here to do them any favours. That it's up to them to get into the team, and the boys that are playing at the moment have got the shirt, and they understand that they have to play well continually, have to train well continually, have to play well, put in consistent performances. But anything can happen. It quickly opens up with an injury or a suspension, or as the times that we're living now, from a COVID point of view. An infection all of a sudden might open it up for players to come in, and they've got to be right, and he's trained well enough. then it's over to him to take that opportunity when that comes around.
And last one from me, Chris. We ask every year. Do you mind? What would be your Christmas message to fans, if you don't mind, please?
Well, no, just have a great Christmas. Enjoy it. Look after each other, and hopefully everybody comes through this little period, the tough period that we're having. Health wise in good nick, and hopefully from our point of view as a football club, we can give them something to cheer about over this period. And going into the new season and going into the second part of the season, there's a real enthusiasm around the place. I'm feeling it, not just around Rockcliffe, but at games, and they're enjoying what we're producing, and it's up to us to keep that going and hopefully give them something to shout about for the second part of the season.
Thanks so much, Chris. Have a lovely Christmas.
Take care, mate.
Thank you.
Hey, Matty.
Merry Christmas, Chris. How are you?
Mate, Merry Christmas, pal.
Good stuff. Just a couple from me. Mark Bowler, obviously, really bad news of him being out for 6 to 8 weeks. He's had his injury troubles this season. So how was he taken to this news then from the last week?
Well, I've got to say, I've not really spoken to him a lot, about it. He's had a couple of scans. The initial one was we didn't think would be a big issue, but obviously having a second scan showed that there was damage there. So it was really innocuous. It was just coming together of two players. So it's not an overuse injury. We've not put him in a position for him to be injured. It's just something that happens, coming together of two players in a competitive training session. So, I thought from my point of view, when it did happen, he ended up carrying on, actually, finished the training session. And then I got a call in the afternoon saying there might be an issue and we'll wait till the morning of the game against Bournemouth. So it was only in the morning of the game that he got ruled out. So, that's where sort of how the story went. But scan 1 and then obviously scan 2 showed there was a little bit more damage than first thought, and I'm really disappointed for him. Mark's got this period now to use and not to waste as well. They work extremely hard, the players, even though they're injured. There's always something else to do, and he's got to use his time wisely and to make sure that when he's come back, he's ready and he gives that vital competition in an important place.
Obviously, you've been eyeing out your January plans, and you've earmarked a few players. Is there a few youngsters that you're planning on sending out on loan? I know Graham Lee said that he's touched base with Middlesbrough about bringing them to Hartlepool. Is there any youngsters you plan on sending out on loan?
Well, I think Hartlepool would quite fancy a few of our players, but we're not a feeder club for Hartlepool, so he'll have to go through the correct process, and there'll be other clubs in for the players, as they have been always. The players that are out on loan, the good players, and they're out there for a reason. So whether they come back or they stay out on loan, or we send a few more out on loan. We're in a little bit of a difficult situation at the moment because numbers-wise, we have to be careful that we don't leave ourselves light. So, the main priority is the first team, and making sure that we're not left light. And my main priority is making sure we're as strong as possible. It's not up to me to give players at times what they want, in terms of, they might want to go out on loan. Well, it's not their decision. It's my decision, and it'll be our decision where that player goes as well. So, but at the moment, we've the young boys are training with the first team, and there's a lot to be said about that as well. Training in that intensity, in that environment, looking at your senior players, your Paddy McNairs and your Johnny Howsons, and see how they go about their business and see what it takes out, what they do, and how they conduct themselves to be a top professional. And I just imagine that they're enjoying being part of the first team.
And just finally, I remember you saying that about 5-3 in your first game in charge at Millwall, you might, take a little moment to yourself and just, relax. Will it be the same tomorrow for Boxing Day, with a bumper crowd and and plenty of atmosphere at the Riverside?
No, I've got over that sentimental rubbish now. So I'm game head on now, right the way through. So the competitive aspect of it all. We're working with fighting for the football club. I'm seeing fighting performances, players that want to be want to do well for the football club, and that really is encouraging and a support that really gets behind us. It's a great atmosphere. In the last game, you talk about 12:30 kickoff. You talk about, sort of the pandemic and the uncertainty of it. And I've got to say, I thought the atmosphere was great. Atmosphere was fabulous at Stoke and at Huddersfield. And the home games so far have been great. And as I said, it's up to us to create that atmosphere and environment, and the supporters will get right behind that and really enjoying it.
Great stuff, Chris. Thanks for your time. Have a great day tomorrow, and best of luck for Boxing Day.
Take care, mate. Thank you.
Last but not least, it's Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Chris. You're talking about the atmosphere. There'll obviously be a very special atmosphere on Boxing Day. How do you make sure that inspires the players, that drives them on, and that they don't, any of them don't get nervous because it's going to be a very big crowd. It's a big occasion, Boxing Day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I mean, you look at the players. This is the games that we want to play in. We talked about it last week. That you want to play against the best teams in the division, and Forest are one of the best teams in the division. And you want to play in front of big crowds. You don't want to get to the promised land and all of a sudden say, well, can we play in front of 30,000 at Old Trafford or 20,000 at Anfield? We want to play in front of these big crowds. We want to test ourselves against the big teams, and to get to where we want to be, we're gonna have to deal with all sorts of situations and pressure situations and big crowds. And when it's on top, and the best come through those games. So for me, if I'm a player, I want that place to be absolutely rammed. Capacity crowds. This is what we're looking to do, and we'll only do that with performances and results, and dragging people back in to watch the Boro. And the crowds have been healthy so far, but we want to make sure second part of the season we start to grow. We grow the crowds as well, and we attract them back because we're doing something that's pleasing and people are enjoying.
Have you got any memories as a player or a manager around Boxing Day? That things that stand out for you?
Not really. I've not off the top of my head. Nothing that really comes to mind now. I'm not really one for looking back. I'm sure there's been some good days over a long career, starting as a 16-year-old boy at Southampton to where I am now. So there's been plenty of Boxing Days that I've been involved in football. So I think if I took time to look, there'd be some good days and be some not so good days. But we're looking forward to making it a good day for everybody connected with the football club on Boxing Day, and putting in that performance and hopefully getting that result.
Because you're in a position in football to make everybody's Christmas. And as we've touched on already, when you've been talking about COVID and everything else, it's been a very tough time for a lot of people. And I suppose it's a responsibility, but it's great to know that you could actually give the best Christmas present to all the Boro fans, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, that's, as I said, that's the responsibility of what a winning team does for the area and does to the supporters. I've seen it firsthand. The whole area can thrive and enjoy, and it makes the place a better place to be when your local team and your team's doing well and winning games and producing good performances. So we understand that responsibility. But there's two teams in there. Forest will be wanting to do the same for their supporters, and the area that they all come from, just as much as we are. So a really competitive game that we're looking forward to. But yeah, of course, the atmosphere coming off the pitch last Saturday. In the car going home, getting in the car park and seeing people still there. We're all after that, but we have to make sure that we get the first bit right to create that afterwards.
And you've mentioned before, it's all about momentum and getting the momentum at the right time, isn't it, in this division? But making sure that you stay in the mix, I suppose.
Yeah, you want to be in touch. You know, you don't want to give yourself too much to do. So, you know, listen, we're not going to go through the next 23 games and win the lot. Nobody is. And you've seen with the top two so far, you know, but they've allowed themselves that little bit of leeway because of the results that they got at the start of the season. But they'll be looking to get back on track just as much as we'll be looking to keep this going, and Forest will be looking to keep it going, and a lot of other clubs, you know, clubs in front of us and even clubs behind us will think that, you know, if we can get a run going, we can be good in the second part of the season, we can keep healthy, stay fit, stay in form, make some good, us particular, make some smart signings in January that adds and helps the group. Then we'll be in a good place and good nick for the second part of the season. And I think there'll be a lot of people, you know, a lot of clubs will be seeing. I think it's as open as it's ever been, this division. And, you know, and people can drop out and people can find themselves after a good run and good consistency right up there. And then you've got to keep that going. So there's a lot of football to be played, a lot of situations to deal with. And, but we're in good nick at the moment, and we want to keep that going.